Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me. This is the Bitcoin Escape Hatch, a Bitcoin only educational series where the signal is information and the outcome is financial freedom. So, I have done a couple videos. None of them have had any views yet, but the audio was terrible. So, I upgraded and I tried to get the light on here, a nice Bitcoin orange, but it looks more yellow, but that's all right. Also, if you're wondering about that masterpiece there, it's one of a kind, not for sale, sorry, done by my daughter. Anyways, let's get into it. Today we're talking about fixed supply, as the title of the video has said, and my mission here is to tear down the very sometimes complicated walls of what makes Bitcoin feel kind of a lot to take in when you're first getting into it. So, yeah, we're going to tear down those walls, and like I said, today we're diving into one of the one of the most misunderstood aspects, in my opinion, about Bitcoin, um, which is the 21 million hard cap. And I feel like everybody hears about it, but almost nobody truly understands why that number can never be changed and why that rule is the entire reason Bitcoin is the hardest money the world has ever seen. So let's get into it. Thank you for being here. And don't mind me just going through my notes. First, as I mentioned, the headline number everyone has heard, 21 million. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin, period. Satoshi wrote that number into the code in 2009, and it has been locked in digital stone ever since. Right now, at the recording of this video, which is November 24th, 2025, roughly 19.9 million coins have already been created. That's about 95% of the total supply that will ever exist. And another reason why the supply cap is so hard and so important to Bitcoin is because of lost coins. Sorry, I'm still trying to get used to this new microphone setup. So as I was saying, the lost coins as of now is estimated between 10 and 20% of the supply cap. So that's gone forever. Lost keys, dead owners, Satoshi's million plus untouched coins. So the real spendable supply today is closer to 17 million and falling, which is sad. It's sad when people lose their coins. But it happens. It's the reality. And that is what makes Bitcoin even more scarce. So, where do the Bitcoins actually come from? And I will tell you. So, imagine a giant public ledger floating around in digital space. Every 10 minutes, the network needs to add a new page into that ledger. And each page has all of the transactions of the last 10 minutes. So every 10 minutes, it completes the block, and within that block is all the transactions. Those transactions are you sending sats to a friend, a company paying salaries, a country buying the dip, like El Salvador, anything like that. There is no boss, no office, no Bitcoin HQ, no Bitcoin marketing firm, Bitcoin marketing department, nothing like that. So, who gets to write these new pages? Thousands of specialized computers, called miners, all over the world race to solve a special math puzzle that gets harder every 10 minutes, which is the difficulty adjustment. The first one to crack the puzzle or math equation, so to say, gets to shout, "I've done it," and gets to glue that page into the giant ledger, and that can't be changed. It's an add-only ledger. Because solving these puzzles, these math equations, uses a lot of electricity and computing power all around the world, the winner gets rewarded in two ways. They collect all the small transaction fees that people voluntarily attach to their payments within that 10-minute window, kind of like tolls on a highway, and they also receive the amount of brand new Bitcoins that the network creates for completing that block. That's called the block reward. And as of now, and as of April of this year, that amount is 3.125 Bitcoin every 10 minutes. So I like to do a quick bit of math. So 6 blocks an hour every 10 minutes times 24 hours is 144 blocks a day. 144 blocks per day times the 3.125 Bitcoin awarded for every block completed means it's 450 brand new Bitcoin created per day for the entire network. That's it. And as I mentioned, the halving, which happens every 4 years, reduces that amount by half. It keeps halving until around 2140. So the year 2140, when it finally hits zero and no new coins will ever be created again. Now, I know when I first heard that, I was like, so does that just mean it's kind of done at that point? No. This is where it gets really good, actually. What that means is in 2000, the year 2140, when mining stops awarding Bitcoin for completing blocks, these miners will then collect transaction fees as they already do today. The question is, will that be enough to sustain the network? And like I said, this is the really exciting part. It's the part I really like about the whole makeup of the way Satoshi created this. So by the year 2140 rolls around, Bitcoin will be used by billions of people every single day. As I mentioned, the toll that people pay for making those transactions, if you imagine a highway of all those transactions are cars on a highway, the highway is going to be packed. Every single one of those daily transactions pays a tiny fee, as I mentioned, to whoever adds it to the ledger. On busy days, even in the year 2024 and 2025, we already saw single blocks where the fees alone added up to 20 or even 30 Bitcoin per 10 minutes. That's millions of dollars. So after the next few halvings, the brand new Bitcoin reward will be tiny, right? Every 4 years, it's cut in half. So it's going to become very, very small. And naturally, that's when the fees will take over. Miners will still be racing each other to complete those same mathematical equations. But instead of being paid in fresh coins, they'll be paid in real world usage fees from a global money network. So think of it like this: adoption equals more traffic, more transaction equals more fees, equals miners still stay ridiculously profitable. And that's the part I love, because there's going to be more participants in the network. There'll be more transaction and more rewards for that, for the miners. And I think that's the genius of Satoshi's design. The system bootstraps itself with new coins for the first century, then seamlessly switches to being paid purely by the economic activity of the planet. Bitcoin becomes the first money in history that gets harder and more valuable the more people use it. That's that's like the best part. I love that. I'm not sure why, but I think that is so amazing. So, why did Satoshi pick 21 million? Satoshi himself called it an educated guess, actually. In a 2009 email, he wrote, and I quote, "My choice for the number of coins and distribution schedule was an educated guess. It was a difficult choice because once the network is going, it's locked in and we're stuck with it. I wanted to pick something that would make prices similar to existing currencies, but without knowing the future, that's very hard. I ended up picking something in the middle. If Bitcoin remains a small niche, it'll be worth less per unit than existing currencies. If you imagine it being used for some fraction of world commerce, then there's only going to be 21 million coins for the whole world, so it would be worth much more per unit." Poetry. That's straight up poetry. And he just guessed. He picked a number right in the middle. Not so low that early adopters would hoard everything, and not so high that coins would feel worthless if Bitcoin ever went global. One of the best guesses in history, I would say. But couldn't someone just change the code and print more. Theoretically possible, practically impossible. Here's why the 21 million is unbreakable. Over 17,000 public full nodes and tens of thousands of more private ones are running all over the planet right now. A node is a computer that has downloaded the entire ledger. So every transaction that's ever been made on Bitcoin is downloaded onto the ledger and auditable at any time, which is awesome. And constantly checks that everyone is following the rules. So these ledgers, the downloaded ledgers on these nodes make sure everybody follows the same set of rules. Especially the 21 million cap and the halving schedule. If any miner tries to sneak in an extra 100 Bitcoin into a block, every single one of those nodes instantly rejects it. The miner just burned maybe even billions of dollars in electricity for nothing to try to cheat the network. To actually inflate the supply, here's what you would need to do. You'd need to convince the majority of those 17,000 plus node runners, hobbyists, companies, universities, to install a new software that would destroy the value of the Bitcoin that they already own, which is economic suicide. So basically, you'd have to convince them to download a new version of the software, which increases the supply, which dilutes what they already have. This is game theory plus initiatives plus decentralized nodes equals the 21 million cap is locked forever. Excuse me. Mustache is sweating again. And finally, I guess this is what I was saying at the beginning, why I think everybody just kind of skips over how important it is to have something that has an absolute supply cap and why it actually matters. So if you think about New York, Manhattan, it's only 23 square miles of rock. You literally cannot make another one. 1 square foot in Midtown now costs $2,000 on average. They invented skyscrapers and steel frame construction, and they turned this tiny island into a financial capital of the world. So they built on top of what was already there, which Bitcoin does today. Another example, the .com top level domain. There will only ever be one .com registry. No one can create a second one. The .com namespace is now worth tens of billions of dollars if you think about people who want to buy websites, right? Websites that sell domains do over $2 billion a year in aftermarket sales alone. Entire companies exist only because the original supply is fixed and cannot be diluted. If you think about it in .com terms, they can't keep producing more and more and more Amazon.coms. Picasso paintings. Only about 2,000 authenticated Picassos exist because no more can ever be made. Some paintings sell for over $179 million, the last one as of 2015. And he passed away in 1973. The entire Picasso market is now worth over $10 billion. Scarcity turned paint on a canvas into generational wealth, spawned entire industries of galleries, authenticators, collectors, and museums. And Bitcoin is going to do the same. Gold. Gold has been valuable for 5,000 years because there's only so much of it in the ground. But they do keep finding more and even are looking to the stars for more gold. Bitcoin took the idea of gold and made it perfect. Absolute scarcity. You can't find any more Bitcoin in space. It can't be inflated, yet is instantly sendable anywhere on the earth. We can't make more land on this planet, so we build skyscrapers and bullet trains. We can't make more Bitcoin, so we build upward instead. One of the things that's been built on top of Bitcoin is Lightning. It's super cheap for instant payments, ARC, so that thousands can share one on-chain transaction like a group share ride. Amphetamines, little community banks that give you cash backed by real Bitcoin. Layer after layer, new money tools are created every day, all sitting on the same unbreakable 21 million. So imagine that 21 million as the base layer, like the earth that's sitting underneath Manhattan Island. That's it. No more can be created. They can only build on top and up. Every single time humanity hits a truly hard cap, we don't run out of value. We build skyscrapers, auction houses, cloud layers, and entire new economies on top of the unchangeable foundation. Bitcoin is just the first time we're doing it perfectly and on purpose. Your stack of Bitcoin doesn't get diluted when the next billion people show up. It only becomes more valuable. That tiny slice of the 21 million is prime digital real estate in a world that is finally waking up to sound money. That's the escape hatch. Stay humble, stack sats, send them to cold storage. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much for being here.